Right, so these are our two stills. They were made in Scotland by a company called Macmillan. They're a 12th generation coppersmiths, and they're really nice things. This is where all the distillation happens. So basically, up to now, we've made a product called Wash, which is it's about an 8%, not very nice beer, no hops, no residual sugars, so a really thin, not very tasty thing. But it is 8%, so it's not that bad. Next part of the process then is distillation. So the very first thing we need to do is take our 3,000 litre wash at 8%, put it in this still here. So this one's day one, the one behind it is day two. So day one is all about concentrating down alcohol, getting as much of it through the process as possible. Sometimes it's called a stripping run for that reason. Basically, it's a giant copper pot. There's a heating element on the inside, which is fed from our steam boiler outside, so that's what provides the heat. We basically get this on a rolling boil. So water boils around 100 degrees, alcohol boils down 78 degrees, something like that. An alcohol-water mix will boil somewhere in the middle. That means, as a consequence of that, we never get just alcohol out the still. It's always a combination of alcohol and water. And that means the boiling point's somewhere in the middle. So we get this to a boil, which is approximately 82 degrees, something like that. We'll see it just churning away all day. When it gets enough energy, we'll get an alcohol-water vapor forming in the neck. As it gets enough energy, it will go up the neck, across the line arm, that's that piece on the top, and then the hot vapor makes its way into the condenser. Inside the condenser, there is lots of cold water, which is fed from the river outside. So we pull that through, pass it through the condenser. It doesn't actually come into contact with our spirit, which is good because the river isn't very clean at all. But it does a good job of cooling it down. If we didn't have the river, we'd have to use electric chillers and cooling towers. They're not very efficient or cost effective. This is better for the planet. So as soon as that vapor hits the condenser, it cools down, condenses into a liquid. It flows along as a liquid into our very shiny box over there, which is called a spirit safe. That's where we can look at it, measure it and sample it. And then it is collected in a tank downstairs. Alcohol is more volatile than water, and that's how this sort of separation and how this process works. That means when we're first measuring alcohol in the spirit safe in the morning, it's up at about 40%. So a big jump up from the 8% where we started. That will peter off throughout the day. And remember, day one is all about running as much alcohol through as possible. So we'll turn the still off probably about 4 o'clock, sometime like that. When we're only measuring about 2% at the other side. It's just not worth burning any more fuel for such a small amount of alcohol. So we started in the morning here, 3,000 litres at 8%. What we collect over and collect in the tank downstairs is about 1,000 litres at 24%. So it's a third of the volume, but it is 3 times as strong. So we're essentially taking all of the alcohol across with a load of water, and what we're leaving behind in here, loads of dead yeast, loads of stuff we don't really want, basically, loads of hot water. It is hot at the end of the day. It'll be about 86 degrees, so we do have some heat exchangers in place which essentially preheat the next one going in with that one going out, so we do recover some of the energy that way, which is nice. But that goes off for anaerobic digestion, muck spreading, those sorts of things, so it is made use of. The middle product then at the end of day one, that's called low wines. Doesn't particularly look nice or smell nice or taste nice, but that's fine because we know we're going to distill it again. So 1,000 litres at 24%, that's what makes it into the second distillation on day two. That goes into the spirit still there, and it's essentially the same process again. So alcohol vapor, we get it on a boil, it goes up, across and down. This time, when the liquid makes its way into the spirit safe in the morning, we're up at 78%. So another big jump up in alcohol content. But with all that extra alcohol, there's lots of sort of volatile aromas and flavours that are coming across. The first amount of liquid that comes out of the still, it doesn't taste very nice at all. And these are flavours that won't age away in a barrel. It's always good to separate those out. So we take what are called cut points when we run the second distillation. The first sort of amount of spirit that comes from the still in the morning, that section's called 4 shots. How we measure it, it's sort of done by eye. As soon as we see a decent flow coming out the still, I'll set a timer for 15 minutes. First 15 minutes of flow is all kept to one side. Every distillery will run 4 shots. Some of them will run 5 minutes. Some of them will run half an hour. It's all dependent on flavour. We've tried all that. We like 15 minutes. I will point out at this point, when we're trying things with different barley varieties or different mash bills or different fermentation lengths, all these different things that we can try, they will have an impact on the spirit, and we do change the cut points. It is a huge part of the final flavour of the whiskey is the cut points we use. So it is something we do and change from time to time. But typically, we'll run 15 minutes of 4 shots. I'll literally spin the spout in the spirit safe, direct the flow into a different tank. This is now the good stuff we want to keep. It's nice and clear. There's loads of malt flavour there, all the peat flavour, all the dried fruit sort of aromas from fermentation are coming through there. It just tastes really nice now, basically. So that's the stuff we want to keep. But remember, the entire time the still is running, the alcohol content of what's coming across is dropping. That means we're bringing more water across the still. And that means the flavour is going to change quite a bit. So certain flavour compounds are soluble in water, some in alcohol, and some at various different bits along the way, which essentially means all throughout the day we are transporting different flavours across the still. So the flavour is going to change quite a lot. That's something we've looked at quite a bit. I know just from sticking my finger in there an awful lot, 66% isn't as nice as 67%, so that's our cut point. As soon as the alcohol content drops to 67, which we measure, I don't stick my finger in every day, that's when I'll spin the spout back to the first tank, and the rest of the day's alcohol, which is called faints, that goes off to join the 4 shots. 4 shots and faints don't get thrown away. They get added to the next batch of low wines and redistilled. So we don't throw any alcohol away at all. The bit we keep from all this is that middle section on day 2, which is called the heart of the run. For us, that equates to about 350 litres of spirit at 72%. That's what will make it to the next part of the process, which is combining with a few more distillations, which will help iron out any inconsistencies throughout the week, and then it will be placed into casks.